We last looked at the turbine. What I done was I got it in the water and built all the buckets for it and got it charging. So on the back, that's where we're going to have a look at today, the pulleys on the back and a change that I'm going to make. Remember, this is always evolving and always getting stronger. So here, it looks like a tight bit of work, all right. I've got a 1-to-1 ratio at the smallest point of my axle, really, so I'm not really getting much RPM out of this. The rotor and stator weren't the best either, but this big frame, I would have to collapse this whole big frame to get at that rotor and stator. So, as I say, it's always evolving. So, I'm going to show here the taking apart and the work that I would have to do to get to my rotor and stator. Obviously now, with it all coming along, it's a simple 3-bolt job. But back then, whenever I was first going through it, this is what I had to do. So I'm taking that apart. Don't forget to subscribe there. If you like what you're seeing here and you'd like to follow us, we're Low Energy Services on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram, or Barra Mulligan either on them social media pages. But anyway, back to this. So I'm still taking that apart. Look at me working me wee heart out there. So whenever I do get that apart, then it's time to start looking at taking off this little cog. I give it a few bangs of a bar and I realized that wasn't going to work. So I got a good stance and I started battering it. And eventually it just goes pop and away it goes off. Now. So that left me with the shaft, and I have a boss and a big pulley wheel here from a compressor. But unfortunately, because of the age of the shaft, it's very hard to get a boss that fits it. And it was cast iron, so the shaft and the wheel are over 100 years old. So to get something to fit that exactly was impossible. So what I done was I made aluminium shims, and these work grand because of the boss, which is the center part of the pulley wheel. Whenever it pulls in, it clamps around the wheel. So because, or around the shaft. So because I used aluminium or aluminum, it was able to compress into the shaft. Inside, I'm going to use this motor, old electric motor, just for the shaft and the bearings in it, and for a mount somewhere handy to mount the rotor and stator. So I built a frame for it first so that I could mount it to the turbine. And you can see there I have the stator hanging on the front. So I'm just marking the holes, and that's a Celica pulley wheel of a fan belt in a Toyota Celica. So I'm going to mount that first. I drill and tap the shaft on the end that I want to put the pulley, and then I machine the end of the pulley down to make a cup so as it will sit on to the end of the shaft snugly. So whenever I tighten the bolt, it all what it has to do is hold it tight. On the other end, I machined down a piece of aluminium so as it would fit the rotor. I did, unfortunately, my phone battery went dead, so I didn't get to record this. And there's the holes that I drilled and tapped for the stator. And whenever I put the rotor on, you'll see this is why I used it. I didn't have the washing machine part, so I had to be inventive of how I used these machines, washing machine motors. And there's the stator mounted. You can see that the stator is all rusted because this has been used on a lot of turbines about the place just for experiments. So it's coming to the end of life now. And then whenever I mount it all together and put it back onto the turbine, this is what we see here. So I'm getting plenty of RPM in the rotor. And the more I look at this, the more I think maybe we will go back to this simpler method. In the coming videos, we're going to go through gearboxes and gearing. So don't forget to subscribe again and follow the journey of this turbine. This turbine is now producing 48 volts, but with the help of YouTube, I'm going to show you the whole build and the do's and don't do's of one of these. So thank you very much for watching again, and I hope you enjoy. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button now. Okay, slán.